Hi, I'm gonna come over and sit down with y'all, okay? Look, see, this is called 15 minutes, Sunday afternoon, 15 minutes with Marie and coffee. I don't, so my eyes aren't going to be really looking at you. They're all over the place because I'm very new at this. So, um, my name is Mariposa, and I'm glad that you guys, I'm going to put this up whether you're watching it or not. So, this is a test, not a test. This is therapy. This is me. I'm going to try to be specific for 15 minutes. I don't know if I can. Um, I mean, you know, I think I'm going to talk about how, I mean, how do you know? When do you know that you can never go back to that life? That to go back to that life is so horrible and painful. Um, you know, a lot of us older nowadays, they're first of all transgender being wired differently than the physicality of your body. Where society says, well, because you have those parts, you're this person, you know. Um, I never hated those parts. I hated the idea that I could never change and be who I am. I hated the part that I could not express that I found making or being with men as exciting as being with women. Um, I talked better with women. I feel better with around women as a human being, but I get very excited around men. Um, and I try to hide that. I really did. So how did I know when enough was enough? How did I know that either I do this or I don't? Where is that point? And I think it's different for everybody. So it started at puberty. I was curious. I was curious. I had read about Wendy Carlos, famous musician, and I had read about Dr. Renee Richards, tennis player and a doctor. And I was enthralled. I was excited. Um, I had experimented with dressing in clothes. I had experimented in sex with men. Where and for the most part, I would say in fact, I was very disappointed every time that I was top. I was top. I was the masculine either the masculine or the dominant or the top. If you don't know what those terms are, you have to look them up. I can't do everything. I just talk the way I'm talking. Um, I was disappointed, but when I was allowed to take care of my partner, whether male or female, and they were happy or it worked for them, then that's that's where it works. That's where I got joy. I still get joy out of that. I get much more pleasure out of pleasing whoever I'm with and making sure that their happiness or their whatever they need to get out of that particular relationship at that particular time happens physically. So so I've always been a giver in that sense. Now people tell you I was a taker, and I did take. I took emotionally. And mentally and spiritually. Be, but I did that because I was drunk. I was drugged most of my life. I was drugged for most of my life, inebriated, not in control of myself. So when I started coming out, I was not drugged. When I first felt those first things at 13 and 14, I was not on drugs. I had tried whiskey. I had tried cigarettes. It weren't me. Um, But when I And then I found women's clothes, and I found the feminine. I always was I found the feminine, inside me, and it felt good. Now, at the same time, it was wrong. My I was told that it was wrong. I was told because I was born with a penis that I have to be male. I have to get married to a woman. We have to have children. Have to do well. Have to have a house. Do well, and all this stuff. And I was told by my parents, and they were told by society. And then when somebody else from outside their society came in and said, "Oh well," then they were told not. They told me this is what I heard was that if you're different, we're not talking to you. I had a relative that became gay, and my parents refused to talk to that person for a very long time until they came back to a straight life. And I can't help but think, I pray for them because I don't know if they're doing well or not. You know, it is what it is. Um, so how do you know? How do you know it's time? You know it's time when the options run out. I had the option of drinking and the option of drugging, and drink and drug were fantastic. I was going to figure this out. I was going to learn how to drink. I was going to learn how to take drugs, and I was still going to screw around anything that moved, boy or girl. That's just the way I was. I settled down. I got a job. I found a career. I found I was able to drive a tractor trailer really well. So that's what I am. I'm a truck driver. Hey, I'm a 59-year-old, very nice looking truck driver. I'll take it. It's nice. Um, but the things that so when you run out of options, when you're sitting there, whether you're 13 or I don't know about, you know what? I really honestly don't know about the teens or young adulthood. I kind of know about the 30s because I dabbled a little bit more seriously in it. The 40s was painful because I mean, I thought I had found a partner that would be with me for the rest of my life and accept as things grew and changed and we enjoyed each other's company and time and grew. It didn't. And they didn't because I drank. I mean, I got one of these mental personalities that just add liquor. I'm a drug addict. I'm a coffee. I mean, not a coffee. I'm a coffee addict. Whatever. I have an addictive personality that stops growth. It's I think, and honestly, I would love to see the paperwork on this, but I think that it is a remnant of my childhood learning phase. Something didn't switch off. Um, Maybe it's not supposed to switch off. Maybe that's supposed to be the what gives the flavor to the planet and the world. We're all diverse. We're all different. So back to, you know, I was raised on fear. Um, I was told I was loved, but I don't remember being hugged. Sorry, piece of paper on the floor. It stays there till I'm done. I don't remember being hugged and just told I love you just because. Come here, give me. I love you just because. You know, there was somebody that had made mention at one time that I looked like a girl, and I wasn't upset. I was like, I wish I could talk about it. And I couldn't, and I pushed it away, and I didn't talk about it. And I tried to be the good son, and the good husband, and the good father. I didn't learn any skills as far as in our society. Um, the woman is the teacher and the caregiver and the homemaker. And always kept a relatively clean house. Thanks, Dad and Mom. Um, that was my favorite thing was the dust. I love dusting. I still do. How do you know? You know that it's now or you're going to die. It's now or this. I'm never going to ever be truly happy. It's not going to fit right. And you know, for me, this is all for me because there are young people, teenagers, young kids that know I don't understand it. They obviously I didn't have that type of insight into my emotional state to sit there or my into my state of mind to go, no, I think I'm a boy. Or no, I think I'm a girl. I was told I was a boy. I was trained as a boy. You're 10 years old. You're going to scouts. You know. Um, no, you instead of playing softball, you get to play baseball. No, you can't play basketball against the girls. You're too tall. You have to play with the boys. Um, no, you have to take shop, not home ec. Now I know these things have changed, but this is we're talking in the late 60s and the early 70s. So I wrote some notes. They're not doing much good, but I did write some notes. So we have 11 minutes. No, we're at 11. We have about 4 minutes. Okay. Um, when did I know that this is where I was heading? I knew this is where I was heading when I got sober this last time, about 2 years in, about a year after my heart operation, about 2 years sober. And I turned to my friend and I said, I need a gay meeting. I knew it because the, when I dressed up, I was dressing up. I was, my ex-wife and I, we played. She knew I had those clothes. It was part of play. Um, but the intensity increased and I couldn't talk about it. I didn't have anybody to talk about. Um, where did I get the courage? When did I know enough that courage outweighed the fear? It was like courage is doing something in spite of the fear. And I knew that when um, I actually looked at my life and it took off. And I didn't believe this would happen. This is wonderful. It's a tiny, tiny apartment, honest, but it's my place. It's me, and I'm as woman as anybody can be. I'm as female. There's binary, there's non-binary. I don't understand any of that. Okay, I'm just talking. When I talk to you on these 15-minute things, there's just my insight. There's no science behind this. I read a little bit of science. I'll inject some stuff I've read in the magazines and the trade journals or my personal, but most of it is my anecdotal personal experience. And that's what I have. So, my first question, how did I know? It was time. I knew because I was going to kill myself. I knew that if despite Tina saying, no, I cannot live with you full time as a woman or even part time as a woman, that it was time to go. And there's a lot of dynamics. I didn't bring any of them up. I didn't bring up any dynamics. I'm talking about me personally of how did I know it was time to come out. I knew because I was in danger of killing myself. And I have so much more to give. Every person has a story to tell. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn Manuel Miranda. I think I got your name right. Yeah. We all have a story to tell. We need to tell our stories. And that's what these videos are. I'm telling my story. Okay? I don't even know if they're going to sound good, but I'm going to try to do these. So this is going to be episode 1. Episode 1A is going to be my very first one, and that was from last week. I'm going to try to do them every Sunday. Um, and I'm just going to try to be me, you know. Dress, right now it's housework, girls, it's all about housework and my cardigans and my purses and my home. It's my home. And you go about and say that this is my home. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my life. If you get something, leave a comment. If you're going to be a hater, don't leave a comment. Or I'll just block them because you know what? I'm not about hate. God made me. I said, God, help me. That's the exact words I said when I couldn't stand drinking anymore. And I knew that if I didn't do what I had to do, I would be back to drinking, and that's death for me. I said, God, help me. And guess what? This is what God gave me. I'm sorry if your religion doesn't allow you to accept that. But I know what question I asked, and I know what strength I've been given, and I know where it came from. A power greater than myself said, okay, this is how you do it. Put the effing booze down. Start living a good life. And that's what I've done. And I hope you get something out of this because you're worth it. You're all worth it. Um, I get on my soapbox. I love you all. Until next week, um, be good to yourself. Be kind. You're a beautiful, loving, caring person. Namaste.